brings to the forefront what otherwise will stay hidden. He says to them, don't let anybody take the church's light, put it under a basket.
That's right. Yes, sir.
He says, your light ought to be high upon a stand.
Yes, sir.
It ought to be high upon a candlestick.
Yes, sir.
It ought to be so high that nobody can walk by and say they did not see the church shine.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my Lord.
Preach, sir.
Said it ought to be so high nobody can walk by and say that they could not recognize the church.
Yes, sir.
It ought to be so high when people pass by the church, they ought to know there's something different about this house than the house next door. You know, my brothers and sisters, when I was growing up as a boy, whenever you saw winos and drinkers and cussers walking down the street of the church, whenever they got a little bit too close to the church, they would hide their wine. They put their beer cans under their coat. They stopped cussing, and you could be sitting inside right by the outside wall of the church, and you hear them saying to each other, man, be quiet. It's the church. That's what Jesus is talking about when Jesus said the church ought to have some salt. But the problem we're having in this 21st century is that now winos and cussers no longer respect our church. They'll walk into the church, sit there, can down under their pew. They'll cuss somebody in church or cuss at the preacher. Walk out and act as if they are in the Lord's favor. I got news for you today. I came to tell you that the Lord's church can never be overrun. The Lord's church can never be overtaken. The Lord's church is today what it's always been, and shame on us if we causing it to lose its luster. It's not because of him, but it would only be because of us. So I came to tell you, when Jesus said that we were light, he said, I tell you what you got to do. He said, now, what you need to do is let your light shine. Wait a minute. Jesus didn't just say what I thought he said. Did he? Jesus said to them, let your light shine. He did not tell them to make it shine. He did not tell them to put a sign out on the corner saying that they had a shining light. No. But Jesus said, what I want y'all to do is let it shine. He said, now the difference in making it shine and letting it shine is when the Lord has set up residency in your heart.
Yes, sir. Come on, preach that.
Yeah, when the Lord has made your life his domicile of designation. Yeah, what he's saying is, if my light is in you, when you walk around the streets of your city, somebody ought to see your light. Lord, you should not have to go to work on Monday morning and tell them you went to church yesterday. They ought to see God in your life. Yeah, when they hear you talk and when they see you walk, they ought to know there's something different about you and the other people on that job. And somebody ought to ask you a question. They ought to say, neighbor, tell me, what do you have? Yeah, and that's your opportunity to look at them and say, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, let me tell you what happened to my life. I was sinking deep in sin. And I was far from the peaceful shore. But one day I came to Jesus just as I was. And you know what Jesus did for me? He saved me from the clutches of hell. Oh, Lord. I think I'm close when I tell y'all that Jesus said, I tell you what's going to happen when men see your light. I tell you what's going to happen when you let it shine. He said, when they see your light shining, they're going to see your good works. Can I get on this here? Every child of God ought to have some good works. Can I get on this here? I remember hearing the late Dr. Evie Hill of the Mount Zion Church right here in Los Angeles saying Christians should not have to wear a sign on their backs telling the world that you've been born again. Oh yeah. But listen to what Jesus said, like Dr. Hill said, you do not do good works in order to be saved. No, I feel like preaching here. You do good works because you are saved. And I am in this hand. Look at your neighbor, shake your neighbor's hand, look your neighbor in the eye, tell your neighbor, I'm going to do the best I can because the Lord has been good to me. I was on my way to hell. I didn't have no God on my side and no weapon in my hand. But He saved me. Look at what Jesus said. When you do good works, I tell you what's going to happen. People are not going to point fingers at you and talk about how good you are. But when they see your good works, they're going to look at your daddy and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. I'll close right here. Well, I want to say to the Lord, whatever I do, you get the glory. And I get in this here. If anybody can testify, lift up your hand and say, Lord, you get the glory. Lord, you need your servant. You need my hands so I won't do no evil. My eyes so I won't see no evil. My legs so I won't walk to evil. My heart so I love everybody. My mind so I won't think no evil.